to go live here. Make sure everything's going live. Okay. Have you ever noticed how meetings, especially business meetings, are just like first dates? You know, everybody's nervous, trying to sound smart, hoping nobody spills coffee on themselves. Just the other day, somebody asked me, how do I sound more natural when I speak English? And I told him, I said, look, you're already smart. You know your material. But sounding confident isn't about big words or perfect grammar. It's about sounding like you belong. And so that's when I shared a tip that's helped many of my students over the years. And that is, learn to speak the way professionals speak. Not stiff, not robotic, but with rhythm and real-world language. And that's where idioms come in. Idioms are like the secret handshake of fluent speakers. They're little expressions that make you sound natural, confident, and part of the team. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you 5 business idioms that will work overtime to make your English sound more fluent and natural and impressive. So, let me tell you about Victor. Victor, he's one of my clients, and no, that's not his real name. He's a smart guy. He's got great ideas, but every time he spoke up in business meetings, people looked confused. And it wasn't because he was saying anything wrong, but his English felt stiff. Like he memorized it from a textbook. So one day, I taught him a few business idioms, and the next week, he said in a meeting, hey, we need to get the ball rolling on this project. And just like that, his team lit up. They understood, they related, they listened, and that is the power of idioms. Really simple, right? Power of idioms. Okay. Let's cut to the chase. We're going to break down these 5 business idioms that every professional should know. And let's take a minute with each one. But I'm not just going to talk about the meaning, but also the story behind it. Okay? We're going to go and we'll start with the first one, and that is, change the slide. That is, get the ball rolling. Okay, first one, get the ball rolling. It means to start something. Simple, right? It's very effective and very common in meetings. Throw that in there when you're getting something started. Okay, fun fact. This idiom comes from sports, especially in the 1800s with ball games like croquet or bowling. You actually had to roll the ball. The action starts when someone rolls the ball. So when you say, let's get the ball rolling, you're kicking off the action. You're setting the pace. So instead of saying, we should begin this task like a robot, say, hey, let's get the ball rolling. It sounds natural and it shows initiative. All right, our next one is think outside the box. What does it mean? It's something that everybody says, but it still matters. What it means is being creative or coming up with new ideas. And I really like the history on this one. This one's a really interesting history. It's very cool. So this became popular from a puzzle in the 1960s called the 9-dot problem. And you had to connect all the dots without lifting your pencil. But the solution required drawing lines outside the square of dots. It literally meant thinking beyond the box. So when you say we need to think outside the box, you're really calling for new ideas and a new mindset. Pretty cool, huh? All right, third, back to the drawing board. Ooh. You will hear this or use this when something didn't work and you have to start again. It's a restart after you've failed. Okay? Now this one comes from the world of engineering and architecture. If a design had failed, like a plane part or a blueprint for a building, they would literally go back to their drafting table, the drawing board, and start from scratch. So when you say, it's back to the drawing board, you're not admitting failure. You're showing resilience. Huh? All right, number 4, to touch base. Touch base. You've probably heard this in movies or on TV or even in your own office. And it means to connect briefly. Usually to check in or update someone. Hey, let's touch base, right? Now this one is another idiom with a sports origin. This time it's baseball. Because in baseball, a runner has to physically touch each base or they're out. So touching base came to mean staying in contact or checking in. In business, it's a great way to say, hey, let's sync up. Or like, let's touch base next week. It's friendly, low pressure, and professional. And finally, in the loop. In the loop. Are you in the loop? In the loop means to be informed and up to date. All right? And this one comes from military or corporate communications where key players were literally in the decision-making loop. If you weren't in the loop, it means you missed critical information. So, in your team, saying to someone, hey, can you keep me in the loop on this? It shows that you're engaged and you want to stay aligned. Yes, you want people to think you're responsible at work. Be responsible. So, those are our 5 idioms. Get the ball rolling. Start the process. Think outside the box. Find creative solutions. Back to the drawing board. Oh, we messed up. We have to start again. Back to the drawing board. Touch base. That means we're going to check in. And in the loop. Stay informed. Now that you know what they mean and where they come from, you'll be ready to use them with confidence. They're simple, friendly, and professional. Okay. So if you found these idioms helpful, try slipping one into your next email or meeting. Just one. Watch how people react. You might be surprised at how much more confident and connected you sound. And hey, drop your favorite business idiom in the comments down below. I'd love to see what's working for you. And if you want even more tips and idioms delivered straight to your inbox, be sure to sign up for the newsletter at allaboutenglishmastery.com. It's free, it's fun, and it'll help you keep your English sharp between episodes. Okay, for today's Mastery Minute, I've got a bonus for you. Let's look at one more idiom. Yes, I love idioms. Idioms are so much fun. So let's look at one more idiom. By the book. By the book. What does it mean? It means doing things exactly according to the rules or procedures. Are you a rule follower? then you're doing things by the book. Now, sometimes that's a good thing, especially if you work in finance or law or safety. But sometimes doing things by the book can make you seem a little too rigid or afraid to innovate. So use this idiom not just to describe others, but to reflect and think, oh, when is it smart to go by the book, and when should you take a calculated risk? For example, our accountant is very by the book, which helps us avoid problems during audits. Okay. And that's it for today's episode of 15-Minute Mastery. That's it. That's all I got. So we actually did it in about 10 minutes. So remember, communication is connection. And every phrase you learn is another tool in your belt. So if you enjoyed today's idioms, sign up for the free newsletter at allaboutenglishmastery.com for more tips and stories. And next time, we're diving into a surprisingly powerful skill: how to say, I don't know, with confidence. Because, let's face it, nobody knows everything. But how you admit it, that's where the magic happens. So, I'll see you then. And if you have any questions, now would be a good time to drop those in the comments or the chat, and I'll be here. Oh, look, I see a couple people already online. Hello, everybody. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, feel free, drop them in the comments, and let's see if we can answer your questions. Hi. Glisten BB, how's Hong Kong? It's been a while. I'm not sure who is. That's a tough one to say. But all right, any questions? We still got 3 minutes left before we hit that 15-minute mastery mark, and fortunately, I didn't have a coughing fit like I did on Monday. Whew, that was tough. Okay, well, so far it's a little quiet in the chat, but I'll give you a couple more minutes. Let's see. Anybody? Is anybody in the chat? Okay. Welcome. Okay. So I'm just going to do a little housekeeping here. Has anybody been using the internet to help them boost their English abilities? Has anybody been doing anything like using ChatGPT or anything like that? Because that would be a fun that would be a really fun project. Excuse me, there's my cough. I had to get one in. That'd be a really fun project to work on. Maybe I'll do a video for that again sometime. Okay. Oh. Looks like we went over the limit. Okay, whoa, hey, zoomed in there. All right, it looks like I will see you next time. Glisten BB, I look forward to seeing you soon. And remember, come back again. We have this live show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night, 9:30 p.m. Korea time. If you're in Taiwan or Hong Kong, it's 8:30 p.m. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye for now.